Welcome to our channel. Today, we pause to remember a life that touched hearts and left a lasting impact. We'll explore their journey, the challenges they faced, and the moments that made them unforgettable. Join us as we honor their story, celebrate their legacy, and reflect on the memories that will continue to inspire and live on in the hearts of those who knew them. The news was confirmed quietly, without spectacle. On January 24, 2026, William Herbert Foege passed away at the age of 89. There were no flashing lights or crowded stages marking the moment. Instead, the world learned of his death the same way it came to know his life's work, through calm facts, measured words, and a deep sense of respect. William Foege was not a household name to many. Yet his work changed the course of human history. Millions of people lived longer, healthier lives because of decisions he made far from cameras and applause. He was a physician, an epidemiologist, and a public servant. Above all, he was a man who believed that no one should suffer from a disease that science had the power to stop. Born on March 12, 1936, Foege grew up in the American Midwest. From an early age, he showed a quiet sense of purpose. He was not drawn to fame or status. Instead, he was drawn to service. Medicine became his path, not as a career of prestige, but as a way to help people who were often unseen. After completing his medical training, Foege chose a direction that surprised some of his peers. He went where the need was greatest. In the 1960s, he worked in parts of Africa where healthcare resources were limited and disease spread easily. It was there that he faced smallpox up close, a virus that had killed millions over centuries. Smallpox was fast, deadly, and feared. Traditional methods focused on mass vaccination, which was costly and hard to manage in remote areas. Foege noticed something important. When outbreaks appeared, they followed patterns. Entire communities did not need to be vaccinated at once. What mattered most was stopping the spread. From this observation came a simple but powerful idea. Vaccinate the people around each case. Contain the virus where it appeared. This method, later known as surveillance and containment, changed everything. It was practical, effective, and humane. This strategy became the backbone of the global campaign against smallpox. Working with international teams, Foege helped guide efforts that crossed borders, cultures, and political tensions. It was slow work. It required trust, patience, and constant attention. But it worked. In 1980, the World Health Organization officially declared smallpox eradicated. It was the first, and so far only, human disease ever eliminated worldwide. Behind that announcement were years of quiet planning and field work. William Foege was one of the key minds who made it possible. A colleague once reflected on his approach, saying, "Bill never tried to be the loudest voice in the room. He focused on the right idea, not the credit." That attitude followed him throughout his career. From 1977 to 1983, Foege served as the director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. His leadership came during a time of growing global health awareness. He pushed the CDC to think beyond borders. Disease, he believed, did not respect geography, and neither should compassion. Under his guidance, the CDC expanded its global outlook. He emphasized prevention, preparedness, and ethical responsibility. He believed science should serve people first, especially the most vulnerable. Foege also mentored a generation of public health leaders. Many who worked with him later became leaders themselves. They often spoke about his calm presence and moral clarity. One former student shared, "He taught us that data matters, but people matter more." Outside of institutions and policy rooms, Foege was known for his humility. He spoke plainly. He listened closely. He believed that good ideas could come from anyone, anywhere. Titles meant little to him compared to results. Even after stepping away from formal leadership roles, he remained active in global health discussions. He wrote, advised, and continued to speak about equity in healthcare. He often reminded audiences that success in medicine should be measured by lives improved, not awards earned. Following news of his passing, tributes came in from around the world. Public health organizations, former colleagues, and leaders shared messages of gratitude. One statement read, "William Foege helped prove that cooperation can defeat even the oldest enemies of humanity." Another tribute from a global health advocate noted, "Because of him, smallpox exists only in history books. That is a gift to every future generation." His family remembered him not as a global figure, but as a thoughtful and gentle presence. In a shared message, they said he was a man guided by faith in people and belief in quiet action. They spoke of his love for learning, conversation, and service. William Foege never sought attention for what he accomplished. Many people who benefited from his work will never know his name. And perhaps that was exactly how he wanted it. His life stands as proof that lasting change does not always come from bold speeches or dramatic moments. Sometimes, it comes from careful observation, shared effort, and steady commitment. Today, the world is free of smallpox. That fact alone places William Herbert Foege among the most important public health figures in history. Yet his true legacy goes further. It lives in the idea that human lives, no matter where they are born, are worth protecting. As the years move forward and new challenges emerge, his work remains a guide. It reminds us that progress is possible when science is paired with compassion. William Herbert Foege is remembered not just for ending a disease, but for showing what thoughtful leadership can achieve. His impact will continue, quietly and powerfully, in every life spared from suffering. The news arrived quietly, carried through music circles and shared in short messages of disbelief. On January 22, 2026, Francis Buchholz passed away. For many fans, the loss felt personal, even if his face was rarely at the center of attention. The sound he helped create had been part of their lives for decades. Francis Buchholz was the bassist of Scorpions during the band's most important years. From 1973 to 1992, his steady rhythm became the foundation beneath songs that traveled across borders and generations. While others stood at the front of the stage, Buchholz stood slightly back, focused, grounded, and precise. He was born in Germany at a time when rock music was finding new voices across Europe. As a young musician, Buchholz was drawn not to flash, but to structure. He understood that music needed balance. The bass, often unnoticed, was where he found his place. When he joined Scorpions, the band was still forming its identity. The sound was raw, ambitious, and evolving. Buchholz brought discipline to that energy. His playing was controlled and confident. It gave the music weight without taking it over. As Scorpions rose to international fame, the bass lines remained steady. Albums recorded during Buchholz's time became part of rock history. Stadiums filled. Records sold. Songs became anthems. Through it all, his role never changed. He anchored the sound and let the music speak. Fans may not always name the bassist first, but they feel the bass before they realize it. Buchholz understood this. He played for the song, not for attention. That quiet commitment earned him deep respect among fellow musicians. A former bandmate once said, "Francis was the calm center. When things got loud or chaotic, he kept us grounded." It was a simple statement, but it captured his presence perfectly. During long tours and late-night recording sessions, Buchholz was known for his professionalism. He showed up prepared. He listened closely. He believed that consistency mattered more than ego. In a world of loud personalities, he chose reliability. The music created during his years with Scorpions continues to be played around the world. Younger musicians study those tracks without always knowing his name. But his influence is there, running through the rhythm and structure of every performance. In 1992, Buchholz stepped away from the band. For many fans, it marked the end of an era. Yet he did not walk away from music. Instead, he continued working quietly, staying connected to the craft he loved. Later, he became involved with Michael Schenker's Temple of Rock. Once again, he chose collaboration over spotlight. The pattern of his career remained the same. He supported the sound, strengthened the group, and let the music carry the moment. After news of his passing, tributes came from musicians and fans alike. Messages filled social media, many simple and heartfelt. One fan wrote, "You may not have seen him front and center, but you always felt him. That's real music." Another tribute read, "Francis Buchholz showed us that greatness doesn't have to shout. It can stand firm and steady." Those who worked with him spoke of his kindness and humility. He was described as thoughtful, patient, and deeply committed to his craft. Fame never seemed to change him. Music was never about image. It was about balance and feeling. His family remembered him as a man who loved music, but also valued quiet moments away from the stage. They shared that he was proud of the work he did, not because of awards, but because it connected people. In a short message, they said he believed music should bring people together, not compete for attention. Francis Buchholz lived through decades of change in the music industry. Styles shifted. Technology evolved. Audiences changed. Yet the need for strong musical foundations remained. He provided that foundation when it mattered most. Rock music often celebrates the loudest voices and boldest moves. But its true strength comes from those who hold it together. Buchholz was one of those people. He was steady when others soared. Reliable when others took risks. As the years pass, his name may be spoken softly. But his work will continue to be heard loudly. Every time a Scorpion song fills a room, his presence is there. In the rhythm. In the timing. In the space between notes. Francis Buchholz did not chase legacy. He built it quietly, one song at a time. His bass lines became part of the soundtrack of millions of lives. That is a rare and lasting gift. Today, fans remember him not with noise, but with gratitude. He showed that strength can be calm. That impact does not need a spotlight. And that sometimes, the most important voice in a song is the one that holds everything together. Francis Buchholz will be remembered as the bass that anchored a legend. And his music will continue to stand, steady and strong, long after the final note fades. The news was shared softly, without headlines or urgency. On January 17, 2026, Brian Tucker Zimmerman passed away. For many, it felt like the loss of a familiar voice that had always been there, even if it was rarely loud. His music never demanded attention. It simply waited, patient and honest. Brian Tucker Zimmerman was a musician shaped by quiet discipline and deep feeling. He believed music should speak gently, but clearly. Over the years, his work became a companion to listeners who valued reflection over spectacle. He was born on February 14, 1941, in San Francisco, California. Music entered his life early. At just 4 years old, he began violin lessons using an instrument made by his grandfather. It was a small detail, but one that stayed with him. Music, for Zimmerman, was always personal. When his family moved to the rural town of Healdsburg, his world grew quieter. The pace was slower. The space was wider. Those years shaped his sense of sound and silence. He learned how pauses could matter just as much as notes. Zimmerman's education took him far beyond California. He studied seriously and thoughtfully, always searching for deeper understanding. His journey later led him to Europe, where he continued his studies and recordings. Time spent in Rome and London expanded his musical language, but never changed his core approach. His music blended structure with emotion. Listeners often described it as gentle, but precise. Each phrase felt considered. Each note had a place. He was not interested in trends. He was interested in truth. A fellow musician once said, "Brian played like he was telling you something important, but never rushed you to understand it." That feeling stayed with audiences long after the music ended. Zimmerman never chased fame. He performed and recorded with care, choosing quality over volume. His songs often drew from personal experience, but they were open enough for others to find their own meaning inside them. Those who followed his work spoke of the calm it brought them. One listener shared online, "His music felt like someone sitting beside you, not performing for you." It was a simple line, but it captured his gift. Despite his skill, Zimmerman remained humble. He taught, mentored, and encouraged younger musicians. He believed music was something to be passed on, not owned. Success, to him, meant connection, not recognition. As the years went on, his audience remained steady, even if small. His recordings continued to circulate quietly, finding new listeners through word of mouth rather than promotion. His music aged well, because it was never tied to a moment. After news of his passing, tributes came in from across the music community. A former student wrote, "He showed us that restraint can be powerful. That feeling doesn't need volume." Another tribute read, "Brian Zimmerman gave us music that respected the listener." His family remembered him as thoughtful and deeply observant. In a shared message, they said he believed listening was just as important as playing. Music, for him, was a conversation, not a performance. Brian Tucker Zimmerman lived a life guided by balance. Between sound and silence. Between skill and feeling. Between personal story and shared experience. He never tried to be the center of attention, yet his work stayed with people for years. His legacy is not found in charts or awards. It lives in quiet moments. In late-night listening. In songs that feel understood rather than explained. Today, his voice is no longer creating new music. But what he left behind remains. Gentle. Thoughtful. Enduring. Brian Tucker Zimmerman will be remembered as a quiet voice of a generation. One that spoke softly, but left a lasting echo. The news was shared quietly, in the way many first learned of him. Lee Hovis Jr. passed away, and with his passing came a gentle wave of remembrance. There were no loud announcements or urgent headlines. Just a soft acknowledgement that a familiar presence was gone. For years, Lee Hovis Jr. appeared in American living rooms as a featured performer on The Lawrence Welk Show. His face and voice became part of a weekly routine for families across the country. In an era of steady rhythms and polite applause, he represented calm and consistency. Hovis was known for his smooth harmonies and relaxed presence. He did not rush. He did not push. He sang with control and warmth, offering comfort rather than excitement. Viewers trusted that when he appeared on screen, the moment would be pleasant and familiar. Television at the time carried a different purpose. It was not about shock or speed. It was about togetherness. Hovis fit naturally into that world. His performances reflected values of professionalism, respect, and quiet joy. Those who worked with him remembered his discipline behind the scenes. He arrived prepared and treated every rehearsal with care. One former colleague recalled, "Guy never acted like he was above the moment. He treated every performance like it mattered." While his fame came through television, Hovis remained grounded. He understood his role in a larger ensemble. The harmony mattered more than the solo. His voice blended rather than stood apart, and that was by choice. Fans often spoke about how his presence made them feel. A viewer once wrote, "He felt like someone you knew, not someone performing for you." That sense of closeness was part of his appeal. As television changed over the years, the style he represented became less common. Loud personalities replaced gentle ones. Yet for many, memories of the Lawrence Welk Show remain tied to a feeling of safety and calm. Hovis was a key part of that memory. After news of his passing, tributes appeared from longtime fans. One message read, "He brought peace into our home every week. We didn't know his name at first, but we knew his voice." Another simply said, "Thank you for the music that asked nothing from us." His family described him as kind and steady. In a brief statement, they said he valued hard work and quiet pride. They shared that he never took his role lightly, knowing how much comfort the show brought to others. Guy Lee Hovis Jr. lived during a time when entertainment served as a bridge between people. His work helped create shared moments in homes across America. He did not seek attention. He offered reassurance. His legacy is not built on headlines or awards. It lives in memory. In black and white screens. In living rooms where families gathered and listened together. Today, as television moves faster and louder, his contributions remind us of a gentler rhythm. One where harmony mattered. Where calm had value. Where presence alone could bring comfort. Guy Lee Hovis Jr. will be remembered as harmony in plain sight. A quiet performer whose voice helped define an era, and whose legacy continues in the warmth of remembered songs.